I want to show the process start to finish for doing a walkthrough where we'll be going around the outside of the building looking towards the center of the building. So if I go to on my site view, if I go to the walkthrough, what I'm going to do is just place, say, a point here. These are, when I click, every time I click like I'm doing now, that's a keyframe. And it creates a transition between those keyframes. So I'm just going around the building, and later on you'll see that I can change the position of those keyframes, add to them, smooth out my path, all of that stuff. So if that's done, there's the keyframe. So there's the path with its keyframes, and I can go back, through here, and I can always go to the walkthrough 2 that was created to look through the camera. But even before I do that, see on the first frame, what I'm doing is turning the camera to look towards the middle of the building, and then I go next keyframe and adjust it to the middle of the building, say, or wherever I want it to be. Maybe you do want to be, you're looking at the middle building and then you're looking in this direction, but it's going to transition between the camera positions. Let's say approximately middle of building, next keyframe, approximately middle of building, next keyframe. I'm not dragging this, which distorts the view. I'm just turning it with the target point. So here, towards there, next keyframe, towards there, last keyframe, towards here. So if I go all the way back to the beginning and I just play it, what I'm seeing is my camera is keeping that orientation towards the middle of the building. If I hit escape, this is really annoying. It should let me interrupt with the playback. If I look at my walkthrough in this view, show camera, I should be able to say edit it. And if I went and I said which keyframe I'm at, and for example I said active camera, actually I don't even need to, I could, sorry, active camera on here, and I could do that so that now I can be transitioning between, at this point I'm looking towards the building, at that point I'm looking towards the end of the building. Then it's going to go back to looking towards the building again. So if I just play it from the beginning, so you see it, the camera is transitioning and then transitioning. Right, so it's really the direction that it's looking, it's giving me the motion that I want. Now if I want to add points to this, I could say in the view, so I'm going to do edit the walkthrough again, and down here I could say add a keyframe. So if I wanted to change this to make it a different shape, I can put in additional keyframes. The path will let me, the path option here will let me adjust where these are, so I can pull it out, get a bit more towards a circular path, or drag that one so it's more closer to where I began. Okay, then if I go to the actual camera view, so if I go to the walkthrough, so I'm seeing it, I can say edit and play. So what I'm seeing is, keep looking towards that corner, then turn and look back towards the middle of the building. And then the rest of them are looking towards the middle of the building. Now when I want to actually, I can hit escape to get out. When I want to actually render it out, I would go down to the export, images, animation. I need to be in the animation. I would set, I want all frames, not a limited range of frames, but all the frames in the movie, about 15 frames a second. I want it to be, I can choose my options here. I never use that one. That one takes way too long. I mean, I'm talking literally weeks. I can show you how to edit the on-screen display to make this realistic view look better than look almost like it's rendered. But the point would be here that when I save this out, export, walkthrough, let's say I said realistic, just so you can see it, realistic. Up here, if I want something that's of a good enough quality to show on the computer screen, something like 1280 by 720 is the settings for that define high definition. So that's like YouTube standard, that's what it would need to be. Zooming at 100%, realistic. I'm going to say make it as an AVI, although there is an option to save it as single images, one for each keyframe, which I often do if I'm using 3D Studio Max. I can bring them in there and render it out, but let's just do the AVI. When I say I'm going to save it to the desktop, and this will show me what it's doing when it's actually rendering it out. If I'm going to show it on this computer to somebody, then I might try codecs, which would these would make it smaller, the file size smaller. But if I'm not sure, where I'm going to show it, and I want to make sure that it renders out exactly as it is on each frame, I would leave it as full frames uncompressed. If I do that, that's it actually rendering it out. And it's going to take a little while, but it's just show you when it arrives on my desktop. Actually, let me change the settings a little bit just to show you how you might improve the look of the walkthrough. And I'll do that. I'm going to let it finish. I'll edit this piece out and show you what the finished one looks like. pause here for a second. This here. So that is 1280 by 720. That's why that's it displaying at full size, but my resolution on the screen is bigger. That's good enough for high resolution. Now, if you want to improve the look of it a little bit, you can't do real rendering where it does shadows and things like that. One thing here that I see is that you might want to turn off the far clip active. What that is doing is it's where the distant part of the camera, it's cutting off the model. This makes sure I'm not cutting off the model in any part of my movie. The other thing would be under the graphic display options, is that for I can turn on screen shadows and ambient shadows. I want this to be realistic. I'm going to try and show how I can improve the look of the file with realistic. For example, specifying the background as being a sky, and I could change the ground color to make it a darker green. Something like that, just to make it look a bit more realistic. And then what the other thing was, my lighting is exterior sun only. That's good. Photographic exposure, you can try automatic. That should improve the look of it as well. So there, I think, is kind of a better rendering. And I'm not going to change anymore. That's good enough. I don't want generally don't want the edges. The edges sometimes makes it look like things are traveling. The lines are traveling when you circle the building. I think that's what I want to do. And then you can if I do that in the camera, now I can go export images, animations, walk through, realistic, 1280, 720, where it's zoomed 100% to that actual size, 15 frames a second, and that would be saving it out. I'm going to call that walkthrough 2 version 2. Uncompressed. That's going to take longer. Actually, not much longer, because it's really just capturing the settings on the screen. It's not doing real rendering. Well, something's not right there, because the shadows should not be changing. Hold on. So still show it winter solstice. Let me do something like that. A bit earlier in the morning. And render it out. Sorry, so export, walkthrough, 1280, 720. 15 is good. That's going to be 20 seconds going all the way around the movie. Let me go back to where we were looking at making it take a little longer. So 15 frames a second, 300, that's where I get the 20 second from. If I want to take a bit longer, I could say make that 600. Uniform speed is it's going to go through at the same rate of movement as I go through this. If I want to, if I unclick that, these are the keyframes. These are the red dots that were in my path. And if I wanted to slow down towards the end of the movie, I could do something like, say, go at 80% of the speed, go at 50% of the speed, go at 2% of the speed, 0.2. So the actual traveling speed is getting slower as I go towards the end of my movie. That way I can make things speed up and slow down and not have it look so mechanical. Now if I am going to just make sure that my settings set for photographic exposure, automatic or manual, so I can either play with this a little bit to make it a little lighter or darker on this side of my building. Let me make it a little bit lighter on this side of the building, and then I've manually set that value. It might look a little too bright on the other side of the building. We'll find out when we render it. So here, then export, walkthrough, (1280, 720), 15 frames a second. That was my version 2. Save it. Yeah, I'm just writing over the one that I had started. Full frames, no compression. So there's the first one. That was 300 frames going around the building, which was very fast. It was something like 20 seconds. And there's the second one where I slowed down the movie by adding frames to it, and added some other things like a sky background. I want to see what it looks like from the south if the exposure's too bright. No, it doesn't look too bad, so that would be another option.